Welcome back to Under the Influence, the official Christian Influence podcast. I'm here with your host, Jerry Crane and Levi Thiessen, and we are back for the penultimate episode of this season, episode 23.
Just like somebody's breaking down a door.
Yeah. And we're back again. We hope that you enjoyed the last one, and we'll hope that you enjoy, this one too.
We're always hoping.
We always hope.
We always are hoping. It's a constant state, edge of your seat hope, right?
Like that people enjoy.
Yeah. It's like being on the edge of your seat with excitement, but we are always on the edge of these seats with hope that you enjoyed the last episode, that you'll enjoy this one, and then you'll enjoy the next one.
Yeah. Not just because we can't lean back or else we're not on mic.
That or the chairs, these chairs, like the backs break pretty easily from what we've learned.
That's also true.
Yeah.
That's also true.
But we should get a hope cam, a little camera that just shows us sitting on the edge of our seats in hope. It'd make no sense to people unless they've heard this moment right here where we said something ridiculous, which doesn't make any sense, which is that we're on the edge of our seat with hope. All right. Yeah.
I always hope that there's something I can do in the episode that breaks your focus or distracts you.
Oh, dude.
You're successful most of the time.
I don't think you need to hope
Anytime that you pull something out onto the TV, I'm instantly just gone.
Yeah. Like a moth.
Yeah. Like a moth to a flame.
Last week I mentioned that it would be cool to make a PDF of like extra content for D&D. We could sell it and it could raise money for Christian Influence and it could be the homebrew content we've made for our game. I was going to say, I was talking to Perry about it. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but no.
Toot.
But toot. Mike and I developed something really interesting. I think it's fun because like the race that he is, this like race from the Feywild called the Skoros, these like moth people. We're like, what would a moth person be like? Well, they would have a hyperfixation, right? Because moths are like light. And so I just think that's so interesting. Like this race of people that's like each of their families or their clans or their tribes would have a hyperfixation. Like moths do to a flame, they are just like hyperfixated on one thing. And so his family, the hyperfixation is the divine beings or like the gods or whatever. And, but then there's other ones with other hyperfixations. Like what would it be? And I'm excited.
Crypto.
It'd be crypto. Oh, crypto. I was thinking the super dog. Crypto, the super dog. I was like, that doesn't exist, but crypto also doesn't exist in that world. Or this one. Is it real? Don't ask Carson. Or don't tell Carson I said jokingly that it isn't.
Don't ask somebody that would know.
Yeah, no. Talk to people like Carson. But crypto. Yeah, there definitely are some Skoros families that are like absolute crypto nerds.
They're just selling NFTs.
NFTs, yeah. It would be not, what would an NFT be? Non-Fey tokens?
Yeah. These are all from the material plane.
Oh, they're non-Feywild treasures.
Yeah.
They're treasures from the material plane.
Yeah. So they're selling them all in the Feywild, and it's like more just mundane things.
Don't bring this up. I'm going to make this a joke. On later, if you guys ever go to the Feywild and meet some of his family or like people from not his family that are just obsessed with the material plane, they'll be trading NFTs, non-Feywild treasures, things from the material plane.
Yeah,
boom,
it's just like
canon
forks and knives and things.
Yeah, it's just stupid stuff.
Yeah,
things that like Ariel in not the Princess Bride, the Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah.
I've been working on. We're just jumping right into random stuff, but I've been working on preparing for drama class. So I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, but I'm going to be teaching middle and high school drama.
He got a new job.
It'll be fun. And I've been working on like lesson plan stuff. Like what's the daily schedule going to look like? What's it going to look like throughout the week? And so of course I'm going and I'm getting scenes because I should talk to Mr. Bentley about like asking if I could get the scenes that we did. Because I need a bank of scenes. I need a catalog of them.
Well, yeah, that was the problem when we were doing all the ones with Mr. Bentley, because after a couple years of doing it, we would just be recycling all the scenes from.
And that's understandable.
Which, sure, yeah.
But like, because you have to have a lot.
Yeah.
To make sure that, because that's middle and high school to not be able, that's like, what, 6th through 12th grade? Like being able to make sure you have enough.
And there's a lot of parameters that you have to go through. Yeah.
But I found some funny ones. I've had to change little things here and there so that they're not a little too worldly. But there's one that's like this superhero, and he's like standing there. His name is Captain Battle. And then there's a guy that's like coming back to consciousness. He's like, dude, where am I? Oh, what happened? And he's like, you're a criminal, and I stopped you. He's like, yeah, I thought the last thing I remember was a bag of money hitting me in the head. And then the guy holds up like a a bag of money or whatever. And the whole point of it is it's a play on Are You My Mother, that book. It's called Are You My Nemesis? He's trying, it's kind of like Megamind, but in reverse. He's trying to find someone to be his nemesis. And so he's like, all right, well, I did capture you. I stopped you. I foiled your plan. Now, what's your name? Like your supervillain name. And the guy's like, Logan Applebaum. And he's like, Logan Applebaum is your supervillain name? He's like, no, it's just my name. He's like, what? This is pathetic. Okay, what is your origin, supervillain? And he's like, Delaware? I'm from Delaware. And the guy's like, okay, why were you robbing this bank? Why were you committing this crime? And he's like, for the money? It's like, oh, this is depressing. Like, you're really, and it's just very funny because then by the end of it, he's like, you know what? Forget it. He's like, what am I supposed to, every time I see you? Oh no, here's Logan Applebaum from Delaware, just doing the crime for the crime. No, that's pathetic. All right, I'll move on. Like, it's just a funny little scene I found. I found a few of them that are just like really, I think Matt is kind of right to some extent. Like, go goofy, you know, that's how you get them. Like you convince the kids it's fun to be goofy and then have them think about character motivation.
And being dramatic, yeah.
And then, work into drama. So that's my plan. But we had a fun idea. This was Barry's idea. I might invite Lexi to come do stage makeup.
Oh.
So there'll be a week or a day where it's like, not a field trip, but like, hey, they'll come in and I'll already be in like old man stage makeup. So that way they're encouraged to actually do it. And then it'll be like, hey, couple volunteers, Lexi and Mike up here are going to do some stage makeup for you guys. And I haven't talked to Lexi about this yet. Hopefully she does it. And they'll like, you know, call up 2 volunteers and then she'll talk them through like, you know, like, yeah, putting lines here can help evoke this or whatever. Cause I think she'd be good at that.
Yeah.
But she could practice beforehand and they could come in and I could look like an old man. It would be funny. And also seeing me up close, they'd be like, you don't though. Cause these lines are huge.
Yeah. But then they have to go through the rest of their day.
Well, no, they can wipe it off. I'll have makeup wipes.
Oh, okay.
Or they can if they want. If they want to go the rest of their day with old man stage makeup on, that's fine with me.
You're going to have your volunteers have their backs to the class, and then when they're done, they do the spin and reveal.
Maybe. The reason also the volunteers thing, not just for time, was because like some kids might not want to participate, and what they would enjoy is watching someone else have funny face paint put on them. But that could be fun. But I think the point would be like, it would be
to understand
to teach
why stage makeup is the way that it is.
So like she would be like doing big lines here, you know, and it's like, well, you have to really over accentuate these things because on stage you don't see them, you know, like it needs to look like this person's wrinkly. And like we could show some pictures from like when we were in theater, like we had giant things drawn on our face to look like wrinkles and it looks ridiculous. But then pictures like from when we're on stage and your dad's taking a photo from like the back row, it just looks like I'm an old man. But I don't know, just fun little things will interrupt. So there won't always be scenes. But I think most of the class will be working through scenes.
And then are you going to watch Princess Bride?
Yeah. Because this is what made me think about it. I was trying to go and collect scenes. I really want to be able to do the Battle of Wits scene. It is way longer than I remember.
Oh, yeah. It's very long.
It's such a long scene, but it's so funny. It would be so fun. But yeah. So then during the play season at the school, I won't be giving them scenes. It will be expected that all of them are involved in the play in some way. And so during the play season, class time will be dedicated to helping build the sets. So you and Matt were like, you didn't have class time for that necessarily.
Yeah.
So now we can spend class time. So that should get done easier. So when you guys have a project that needs being done for the play, I can say, okay, tomorrow during class, we'll work on that. But then also there will be class time dedicated to like, okay, let's say you, 2 students who got parts, you have a scene together and you want me to help you with it on this day, let's schedule. That's when I'm going to work on it with you because you have scenes from the play. That's more important, right? Yeah. We'll cut some of that out. Sorry. That was a long conversation about the play.
I really want to share this just because it was something I saw recently and I thought it was really cool. And it was regarding how they did age makeup for one of the Twilight Zone episodes, one of the early black and whites.
Oh, cool.
They did the age makeup in red makeup.
Oh, yeah.
And then to show on screen the guy aging in like going from young to old, they went from red light to green light. And
That's cool.
The green light highlighted the red and it was like aged him like on camera.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of that stuff. There's a YouTube channel called Corridor Digital, and they do like VFX artists react and some really cool stuff you might enjoy. But they've talked a lot about like how old filmmaking worked. And like a lot of it was, what light is allowed into the camera too. So like you would have things where people think, oh, how did they stitch these scenes together? But it's things like that where like the right light is being shown or allowed to come into the camera versus what's actually like they'd have paint on or things like that. Yeah. It's really cool. Like old filmmaking is.
And then like a bunch of the time the red lipstick was actually just like super dark green.
Yeah. Because like what cameras could actually pick up.
Actually popped on camera.
Or like it's literally invisible, some colors based on what kind of light can come in. Yeah. It's so cool to think like, not to say that modern day filmmaking doesn't have any critical thinking, problem solving. No, because we're able to solve problems we weren't able to before, or we have new problems. Sometimes it doesn't get done yet. But like old school filmmaking, they such creative, like legitimately scientific ways of solving problems. It's like real movie magic in the sense because it's less magical. Because like now movie magic to people then would look like magic. You're like click, click. Whoa, there's a dragon behind us on screen, right? That wasn't there. But then it's like, oh, how can we make it look like, this guy just got, I don't know, blown in half or whatever. And they have some series of pulleys and a trap door behind him that looks pretty realistic, like super cool. There's this old school movie making stuff like that I think is really cool.
Yeah, how they had to do practical effects.
Yeah.
Was really cool, and like the process behind it, how they figured out what to do with what stuff and everything.
And sometimes those things don't actually look as real as like really good CGI, but still filming that way helps the actors believe it, right? Because they like do the thing, and so they react appropriately because of how much acting is just appropriate reacting. I just wanted to pick your brain on some of that drama stuff. I've been having fun lately finding scenes online, and it's taking a long time. It's giving me some sympathy for Mr. Bentley. I wonder if there's a resource he had.
Because I remember at one point too, Mr. Bentley was like, all right, so you guys have gone through all these scenes. Now it's time for you guys. Bring me scenes.
Yeah, I remember
Bring me as many scenes as you want. And then we're like struggling to find like one scene. Yeah. And then he's just like, well, no, these things, you can't be in the scene. It's like...
Yeah. Just like things that are appropriate versus not appropriate, you mean?
Appropriate and length and like the amount of people in the scene or whatever, like for specific things.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's a good idea though to ask your students, like what are some that you want, and we can do those. But yeah, it's taking me a lot of time to like copy paste them into a document, make it look good so it's printable and usable, and it's a lot more work than I expected for that part of it.
But then once it's done, it's done.
Then it's done. Yeah. And if I don't do this again, perhaps next year, whoever does it after me, I can be like, hey, here's all the catalog of scenes. Cause like as of right now, I'm not inheriting anything like that. If I'm supposed to be, man, I'd love it if I had it, but I'm not. I'm trying to, with not really any idea, like what I'm supposed to be doing, trying to figure it out, and then developing a catalog of scenes and a plan and all that. But it's fun. It's interesting and fun. And then most of it will probably go out the window. I always get nervous putting my feet forward because of like there's stuff under there. What if I'm messing with a cord?
Then you die. But what is there to fear in death?
The thread of my heart is wound underneath this thing, and I just...
You step wrong and you just die.
Yeah.
It's the red cord that ties you and your loved one. That's this infinite cord that shrinks and gets and extends, but it's the red cord. It's a whole thing, but you're attached to the one that you love.
Yeah.
And or the one that's destined to be your wife or husband if you're a woman. And
it just sounded funny.
Okay, but.
Or your husband,
no, it's
if
just
you're
an
a
interesting
woman.
thing. It's this red cord that never breaks. But
you're saying this is real?
Well, no, it's okay. All right. No, it's just an interesting thing. And then
from what?
Oh, just it's a Japanese
there
like.
You were just saying, it's this interesting thing, as if like, it's this interesting thing that scientists have discovered.
We've discovered it. It's this really long cord that
But like you're saying, if I had one of those and I had just snapped it?
No, like it's all just wound up underneath the table. And then all of a sudden you step on it, and then all of a sudden Perry just,
Does it kill you or just mean that you're no longer together?
It means that you're no longer together.
Right.
Like the whole thing is to like not break it.
It's
so
like
there was
love umbilical cord.
Yeah, and there was this guy that was really, really awful. Like he was this artist. He fell in love with this woman, but he was just a terrible person. They tied each other together with this red cord to like symbolize that red cord that's spiritually between them. And then
they tied like a physical cord to represent it.
Yeah, and then went into a river together.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No.
Not where I thought that was going.
No, yeah.
It's almost a little culty, you might say.
A little bit.
A little cultish. Cult or hypothetical. Here we go. It's just Levi and I, but Shibs is going to play because I have prepared 2 cults. One is real. One is a hypothetical. And I want to hear from you guys, and I already have an answer from Jarrett. What you guys think. Bum, bum, bum. Cult or hypothetical. This is a game we play. If you are new to the show and you're not familiar with this, we play this game where you are either presented with one and decide if it is a cult, a real cult, right? Somewhere out there in the world, historically speaking, it's existed, or it's a hypothetical from the brain of either me or whoever's reading it, right? Usually it's either me or Shibs. Usually it's Shibs. And you have to decide if it's real or fake, or if there's 2 presented, one is real, one is fake.
One
Identify
is real.
them. One is real. One
then
is
2
Israel? No.
Judah.
No. We're not saying that Israel is a cult. For those of you out there that would really bother.
That's wild.
But we are going to read these and you'll get some time to talk about them and then decide. And I will call you to lock in some answers. Then we'll go on with the show. And at the very end, we'll have a reveal. Which one was real, which one was fake. So starting off with the Breatharian Institute. Founded by Wiley Brooks, this group claims humans can survive solely on light and air through special breathing techniques that support us as fifth-dimensional beings. Members pay hundreds of dollars for workshops led by the Institute's first graduate, Brandon Day, teaching pranic nourishment and quantum divining. Over the years, several followers have been hospitalized for malnutrition and dehydration. In more recent developments, Brooks was found to be eating regularly at McDonald's, claiming junk food helps him stay grounded for his earthly mission since our bodies have become desensitized to this 3D world as part of the fall. He has now incorporated a strict McDonald's-only diet, no food or water except for quarter pounders with cheese and Diet Coke, into the religious practices of the Institute. Breatharians await their coming 25,000-year reign as gods of the New World.
That's wild.
Okay. The Triadian Covenant. Founded by Joseph Slotnick, Triadians follow the teachings and wisdom of the divine family, the Father, the Son, and the Mother. According to Joseph, he was visited by 3 shining beings from below the Earth's surface on multiple occasions while living in Los Angeles. He was warned by the Father to always stay above and never step underground, but to faithfully wait on the surface for the return of the Son, indicating the Mother's invitation to the new world below. The new world below will protect and spare them from a soon destruction of the surface world. Out of respect for the Father's command and his creation of the coming new world, followers are instructed to seal up their basements or to reside in high-rise style apartments when possible. They gather throughout the year to study the character and recorded words of the Father, the Son, and the Mother for wisdom and insight into their daily lives as they faithfully await salvation, and for a fee, of course. The familial roles of the Father, Son, and Mother are as follows. The Father is credited to being creator and protector of this world and the new world to come. The Son was sent by the Father to travel the surface of Earth in search of those worthy of sparing. And the Mother is the human connection to the divine family, gracious and caring in her desire for the Father to spare humanity. A lot of info for both of those.
You're telling me one of these is actually real?
I'm telling you, one of these is actually real.
Man, I got to step up my game in making these cults in the future.
That's crazy.
And be careful, Chris. For whichever one of these is real, there's a chance you could have come across it in your research. So if that's the case, then just don't let that influence. We'll have Shibs answer last in case that is the case.
Well, it's not just that, but prior to coming back to Jesus, I would dabble in like looking at New Age and occult style stuff. So I ran into some of this terminology in the past.
Shoot.
But basically, sure, one of them is a concoction of my brain. But what I made sure to try and do is for whichever one of them is real, to collect the information and rewrite it in my own words.
Can I get the Bootlarian description again?
The Breatharian?
The
Bootlarian.
Chris gets it.
Too much Dune in your brain.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I didn't get it. I thought you were making a bootleg joke, like calling it fake.
No, the Bootlarian jihad is when humanity rose up against AI. Well, in purging all electronics that had any type of artificial intelligence, even computer systems, all mathematics and everything had to be done by humans.
Whoa.
So I'm not gonna say what I'm picking, but I've already decided it.
You've already decided? But you want what? You want me to reread the first one?
Yeah, there was a part in it where you said that it's all taught by a former student where you have to pay, but like, I don't know. I
want that part again? Members pay hundreds of dollars for workshops led by the Institute's first graduate named Brandon Day, teaching pranic nourishment and quantum divining as examples of some of their classes.
And then the other one. The father created this world and then is creating a sub world for us to be in if we follow the ways of the sun, right?
It looks like the sun. So you want me to read the familial roles thing at the end of it? Yeah. Okay. The father is credited for being creator and protector of this world and the new world to come. The son was sent by the father to travel the surface of earth in search of those worthy of sparing. And the mother is the human connection to the divine family. She's gracious and caring in her desire for the father to spare humanity. What
was the origin of that one, though?
A guy named Joseph Slotnick. He claims, let me find it. According to Joseph, he was visited by 3 shining beings from below the Earth's surface on multiple occasions while living in Los Angeles.
This is difficult for me. You know? They're both so incredibly wild. Props to you, Jerry. You know,
hey, thanks
for creating these.
They're both fake. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness.
I made them both
for creating at least one wild religion.
Wouldn't it be wild if like, wow, okay. Wouldn't it be wild if like, when it's all said and done, I'm like, actually, they're both real. You're like, what?
Blow my mind even more.
I followed the rules of the game. I also tried to follow. Make sure that I had a format. We talked about that last time we played. Like, make sure each one has the name of the founder and at least some information about the followers and their practices. So I tried to make sure that all of that was present in both.
Man, so I'm leaning towards the first one being real because of the whole thing that like the entire religion has changed because the guy was caught eating a bunch of stuff. But also, Jerry might have thrown that in because it's so hilarious to have had that happen. But man, the second one sounds like it could be a thing, but also it's incredibly wild, dude.
Yeah. They're both very dumb.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
They're very
No offense. Dumb. Well, I mean, I'm not intentionally trying to offend anybody that's out there, but like, this is dumb to believe in, both of them. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even, yeah, never mind.
You don't even what?
No, I was.
Were you going to spoil things?
I was just, I can't comment on them because I'm afraid of like.
Yeah, because you'll give away the secrets.
Yeah.
Dude, I just want to be able to talk to somebody about that. But Chris won't because he's already made his decision.
Yeah, well.
What?
I want to hear from Shibs.
I do want to hear from Shibs as well.
But we got to have Levi lock in his answer so he can't change his mind, right? I don't care. No, it's fine. Like, Shibs, have you heard of one of these before?
Ask me questions, Levi.
Yeah. Have you heard about one of these before? Did you already know
have,
which
then you
was
can't
real or
weigh
not?
In one of them, the terminology used in one of them is very familiar to me.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to hurry this up.
No, yeah.
So-
I'm gonna go with the first one. Oh, shoot.
Do you want to hear Chris's answer and then change and then determine yours, or is that you feel like that is cheating?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so on the fence. Dude. I do want to hear from Chris though.
Bummer. You have to go first.
Oh shoot! Wow, you already prepared to do that.
I'm not even really a contestant. I'm just a filler for this time
Oh,
around.
I know.
Because
I know.
I have no points in this.
Do you want to know
game
what
so
Jared
far.
said? I forgot.
Yeah, look what Jared said.
Because
We sent it to Jarrett because he had to.
I haven't read his response yet.
Ooh.
Do you feel like you're gonna go with Jarrett, or do you feel like you're wary? Because Jarrett's been wrong the past two, I think.
Yeah. But I'm only one ahead of Jarrett, right?
I think you're 1 or 2 ahead of Jarrett. I can't remember, but like I'm always wrong.
Well, sure.
All right, here's what Jarrett said. So I sent him the descriptions of both. He says, I think the McDonald's one is real. The thoughts on it are, I thought of Super Size Me, and I felt like that could be real. I don't know what that is.
It's a
Is it a
documentary that was made about a guy that only ate supersized meals and ended up
Oh, that
blowing
one
up.
guy, like he only, oh no, there's one guy though that's like his whole diet every day is McDonald's, but the documentary, they
The
asked him
documentary
why.
is like trying to only do supersize me stuff, and it's like,
Oh, and that's not the one I'm
he's
thinking of.
showing how unhealthy all this
Okay.
fast food is.
There's one guy that's like in perfect health, and what he's eaten every day for every meal is like a McDonald's Whopper
yeah,
meal
but
or
he's
whatever.
just like choosing
But it's all
a
he
healthy
eats.
amount of like
Yeah.
calories.
He said, plus the grift of spending hundreds of dollars on those workshops feels like a culty thing. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was present in both though. Also, breathing exercises are big right now. True.
That's
Breathing
also true.
exercises are big.
There was
right
no
now.
years in either of them, right?
I don't think so. Let me revisit it.
Maybe in the Los Angeles one.
I don't see a year written in either of them. No, just the founders' names, information about them and their practices, like what
Yeah.
they do. Yeah. But both are grifts, it seems like, right?
Yeah. I was leaning more towards number one,
Being real.
being
or being
real,
fake.
but the psychology of Jerry is what's throwing me off.
I am a crazy person.
Yeah, you are a crazy person.
I've already drank all my coffee this episode. I don't know what I'm going to do.
But try and make things interesting. I'm gonna go against Jarrett.
You're going to
And-
go
Wait,
against
shoot.
Jarrett? All right.
Yeah.
This is long enough silence. Lock it in. What are you doing?
That the
The LA one.
The LA one versus the Bootlarian one.
Which one is real and which one's a hypothetical?
I'll go with Jarrett. Yeah, number one is real.
You're going with Jarrett now.
Yeah.
You're switching back and forth, dude.
I know. I'm
Okay.
switching back and forth in my mind. Number one, yeah, I'm locking in. Number one
Lock
is
in.
real. Number two is fake.
Okay. So what is it called? Breatharian Institute, right?
Yeah.
Versus the
I want to
triadial?
go back. I want to go back. Oh.
As soon as these lights are off, you're locked in.
Oh shoot.
Let's hear from Chris and then
Number two is
Shibs. What are you doing?
I'm gonna go with number two being real and number one being fake.
Okay. Shibs, what are you doing?
Number one, Breatharian Institute is real, and
Okay.
the other one is fake.
Locked in. So Jarrett and Shibs are in agreement. Breatharian Institute, real. Triadian Covenant, fake. Triadian Covenant, real. Breatharian Institute, fake. Levi does not look happy. What? You're mad at Shibs out there?
Yeah.
Why?
Just I am. All right.
Why? You think he misled you?
No, I think I misled myself.
Oh. Why are you mad at Shibs?
Oh, I just am.
You
All right.
need someone to be mad at?
Yeah. I do.
Nice, clever. Be mad at me. I forgot to mention this. We talked about it beforehand, but so that I can still get points in this if I fool someone. So if I fooled Shibs and Jarrett, I get 2 points. If I fooled Levi, I get 1. I get points based on, they don't lose points, but then the only people that get right. So it's like my version of being right in this finally. We'll see. I mean, technically speaking, I'm either getting 1 or 2 points in this.
That's true.
Something on the
You're
board.
finally gonna get a
Going
point.
that way, we should go back and give me some points.
True. I agree. you'll have the most. Because you'll always be getting one from me, and then you'll be getting 2 on other ones where you also got Jared.
And then you get 3 for the last one.
Yeah. There's something I was going to say. What is it? Oh, it makes sense. I was realizing as I was preparing this, because like this game came from me being like, I want to do this. I want to prepare these things because it sounds like fun. I have way more fun preparing, and it's like just like D&D. A player never is fun for me. And then evidenced in this, a player, I'm terrible at it. And then I'm bad at D&D playing, I think, because I just want to DM. I have way more fun, the creative outlet, like creating something and then delivering. And then trying to see if I can fool you guys. Like that's way, way more fun. Like right now being like, that's way more fun for me than just trying to think through them. It makes more sense. No wonder I'm losing. That's why I'm losing. I'm not in my, I'm like a round thing in a square, whatever, you know, that saying?
I mean, but it all fits in the square hole.
Right. So I'm a square peg in a round gear. That's it. So stick around to the end of this episode where you can find out what the real cult is. And we can find, I mean, both of them are crazy. One of those being real, that's insane. But some people are insane. So let's go ahead and let's break down some scripture. So a couple episodes ago, I just came to the podcast with a verse. We read it and we talked about like, hey, what does this aspect of it mean? Talking to Perry, we were having a good conversation talking about Matthew 5:8. It's part of the Beatitudes, right? And in Matthew 5:8, it says this, and I want to hear what Levi has to say, and then we're going to look at some other scriptures and talk about it. Essentially, like, I was just talking mindlessly, scrolling to Genesis.
Yeah, scrolling
Matthew is
all the way
nowhere
up.
near Genesis. Matthew 5:8 says this, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." So here's a question. Think about, discuss. You can comment down below if you'd like. What does this mean? Right? What are the pure in heart? What does it mean to be pure in heart? I think this one is a beatitude as well that like, I've heard this question a lot. It's like, whoa, what does it mean to be pure in heart anyway? Right? Because the idea of purity, like our hearts can't be pure in the sense that like we are innocent, right? Because our greatest righteousness or whatever is like filthy rat. Oh, I'm just going to go to it so I don't misquote it. Isaiah 64:6. I want to make sure I don't misquote it. Isaiah 64:6, right? We are like one who is unclean. All our so-called righteous acts are like filthy rags in your sight. But no, like if, you know, even our greatest attempts without God at being righteous, right, are self-centered or prideful or right, like, and we're not innocent because all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. That's probably a better verse to reference there, right? For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. What does it mean then? How can we see God? What does it mean to be pure of heart in order to see God? There's the question. Both of you can weigh in if you want. I'd love to hear from both of you, and I have some thoughts on it also.
Well, the only way that we will ever be seen as righteous is because of the cleansing blood of Christ being in place of us when God is judging us, when we're called for our final judgment. Instead of me being seen, God will see, the Father will see Jesus standing in my place as the righteousness. Just because without somebody else being in the way, I'm never going to be able to, nothing that I've done will ever counteract all of the horrible things that I've done.
Right. So in the context of like being seen as righteous or not, the only way we will be seen as righteous by the Father is through the Son, right?
Is through the Son.
True.
And so the pure, because what was that?
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. What does that mean? Shibs, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I guess to me, I get the more obvious answer is just that they'll be in God's presence in heaven,
True. And if the pure of heart are like Levi's saying, right? Those that are saved.
Yeah. And where my mind kind of went was, being transformed beings by Christ, we all have a desire to be righteous and pure, but it's impossible. And like Levi said, it's only from the cleansing blood of Jesus. But it makes me think of David, a man after God's own heart. Yet look at all of the sin and misdeeds that he throughout his life ended up doing, but still was called a man after God's own heart. So, I mean, I would say that's like he would be an example of the pure one with a pure heart, for he will see God.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think it's like points us in the right direction too. Cause like, if you ask yourself the question like, well, if all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, how can anybody be pure of heart and therefore see God? Right. Well, we know we are made righteous only by Christ. Right. And so to be with God in eternity, right, would be the natural conclusion of being made righteous by Christ, right? Being saved by Christ. But then also like when in Matthew 5:8, it's saying, blessed are those who are pure of heart and they will see God. Like, also what I first did too was look at what that word purity there meant, like, and in the Greek. And what I found was, sorry, were you looking something up to say it? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you okay. Read that.
I'm probably going to mispronounce the word, but katharos, often in a physical, literal way, this word was used to mean to purify in like by heat or like with metal, right? And this is, and we've heard Matt talk about this before, right? But or other pastors, but like this word often it was like the refining process of metal to like work out impurities through heat, right? And I've heard this used as an illustration before, right? Like we see where God says like, count it as pure joy, right? When you endure trials because they will produce perseverance and in that you will be made fully mature, right? I'm paraphrasing, but I believe it's in James, but I have another verse to look at, but like, yeah, that idea of being purified through refinement, right? And then we saw with sanctification, right? I think did you bring that up? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just that Greek word that you said purity comes from. It sounds related to like catharsis or cathartic, which is like taking certain actions to kind of relieve yourself of certain feelings. Like you know what I mean? Like people say like, after a stressful day, I go out in my yard and just lay on the grass, and it's so cathartic. And it's like you're just relieving yourself of the stress of the day. That purifying process you were talking about.
I wonder if those words are related, right? Like often there's many words that like we can see the root of them being in a Greek word, like heart, right? The word heart here is like cardia or whatever. Like obviously cardiac means related to the heart, but go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that. So through the only way that we can be more made clean is through everything that Jesus did. And how we talked about like last week, having your eyes open to everything, how wretched you are and being able to see how good God is. And then there's a heart change there. So I think that we can only have a pure heart through the miraculous power of Jesus Christ in our lives. And that purifying process, because we aren't just one day, our desires may change, sure.
Yes.
But we're still fallible in many ways and will most likely still stumble the rest of the way. And it's an entire process of the rest of this life is trying to become more like Christ. And also at the end, he begins to say in the same section,
in Matthew 5,
in part of the Beatitudes, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil things about you falsely on account of me. Rejoice and be glad, because your reward is great in heaven, for they persecuted the prophets before you in the same way. But that purity in heart comes from Christ, because it's not of our own. We're not pure on our own.
Yeah.
And we could have a heart that follows God like David does. But that doesn't just come about just because, you know, he was a guy. It's because, you know, God had been working through him, and he had a relationship with God before Samuel even comes out. He has all of those songs about when he was out in the fields and watching over the sheep, and then lions would attack or bears would attack, and he'd killed them because of the power that God had put into him.
But what was David's part in that, right? Like, God did this in him. God taught him this. God did these things in him. But like the thing that we often say about David, you know, like his part he had to play, or the thing that made David a man after God's own heart, right, was his repentance, right?
That's a big part of it, yeah. Because it's when he does something bad, he does eventually recognize it, even if he doesn't recognize it on its own, and he has to have Nathan come in and tell him.
But like the humility and admission,
but yeah,
and repentance.
the admission, repentance, and then moving away from that thing and to God and accepting the punishment that God does dole out.
Because there is a version of a
things.
king that is not like David. For example, Saul, as an example of that, right? Who, when given the opportunity to repent, does not repent. Yeah. David, when given the opportunity, ultimately does.
And even so far as not only for Solomon, for Saul, when confronted with Samuel ripping off part of his tunic and being like, "Hey, you're no longer going to be king. There's going to be somebody else that becomes king because of this thing that you've done." And he's like, "Whoa, wait. Can you just do the blessing though, so that all the guys still see that that we're me and you are good? Can we still look good for the outside?" Yeah. Whereas David, he cared a lot more about his relationship with God and his relationship to like leading the kingdom well that he was in charge of.
Yes.
And rather than how people viewed him all the time. It's like,
sorry, go ahead.
And you know, he wasn't perfect. He had really bad relationships with his kids. He didn't prioritize that at all. He didn't have good relationships with the woman that he was with.
Which shows like he's still flawed, right? So the answer to like being pure of heart does not mean being blameless in your own, because we can't. None of us are blameless, right? For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So then there must be, being pure of heart must be something that like, like if that's applied to David, if that's true of David, he was pure of heart, and if it looked like this, then like with Saul, who I would say we could blanketly say was not pure of heart, Saul had idols, right? Like the idol of self, right? Self-image, all of those things. But if you're saying that that's not present in David, which I agree with, David sought to glorify God, right? Sought to be faithful with the responsibility he was given from God, right? That was given to him from God, which I think would point to being like rightly focused, right? Like focused, his sole focus is God, right? And I wanted to look at James 4:8, because James 4:8 brings up purity again. And actually, I don't know if it's the same word. I should have, but can you just go to like Greek Analysis, like Bible Hub or whatever, and look up James 4:8, and that word for pure, it's after make your hearts pure. Tell me what that word is. But here, James 4:8 says, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. We love to quote that, right? But the second part of it is cleanse your hands, you sinners, and make your hearts pure. So making your hearts pure is something commanded to us. So, right, it's something that we must do. What is it? And then it says, you double-minded. So the thing when looking at this, I was thinking like, well, if it's saying make your hearts pure and then accusing them, having been sinners, and the specific accusation is that they're double-minded, it seems as though then the opposite of that would be single-minded. For David, for example, right? David, willing to repent, right? God was like evidenced in his life. God was first. Other things were second. Did he do things that did not evidence that? Like at times, yes. But ultimately, right, what is evidenced in his life is that when confronted with that sin, God was first and he was second. And then Saul also did things that evidenced that God was not first in his life. But then when confronted with that, still chose those things, right? Still chose his self-image. But David, who's claimed to be a man after God's own heart, is when confronted with those moments where he does make mistakes, right? Because we all sin, he chooses God first.
So that purifying in James.
Is it? Yeah. What is the word there? It's a different word. Great. This word derived from the verb hagnizo, to purify or to cleanse from defilement. Okay. Okay, great. So similar, right? Can you click Bible Hub for me? And then scroll down to purify, cleanse from defilement. Yeah. Oh, this is different than what I usually look at. It doesn't have the other link. That's fine. There we go. So to clean, figuratively, innocent, modest, or perfect. Number one, properly, clean. So these different words. So this, because this one is used, this is make your hearts pure. I guess this is more of a descriptor, whereas the other one is primarily a verb, right? This one is from a verb, it says. Interesting. Well,
I mean, it still does imply the process, of cleaning or purifying.
Yeah. That other word that's maybe being used more to like indicate the process it was a process of like trial, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't play as big of a role in like what we're talking about necessarily anyway. The whole point was like in Matthew 5:8, what does it mean to be pure? Because the thing, this came up, what Perry and I were talking about, were like, we just encountered like someone talking about this, like, well, it's impossible to be pure. Like Jesus calls you to be pure, and an atheist saying, right? Like, or at least I have encountered that. And then we were talking about it. She didn't bring it up in that way. She just brought it up, but I have seen that online. I think maybe from Alex O'Connor, actually, to bring his name up again. I don't want to say that, and then someone would be like, "You never said that," and I could be wrong. But it was in one of those many debates that that are online of atheists versus Christians talking, and it's like it might have been that guy that tried to get someone to drink poison. But
what?
Oh, there's a debate with the guy from Apologia Church or whatever, and this other guy who's crazy, like, because he's claiming we're crazy though, but he's acting crazy. I shouldn't say he is crazy. And he pours like, like from Heather's or whatever, like the Drano bleach, like whatever, drain cleaner or one of those things, or like antifreeze. I think it might be antifreeze.
The really tasty looking blue liquid.
Like bright green or something like that. And he's like, your God says you will be protected from poison. So will you drink this? And he uses that as his big smoking gun. Like, you won't drink it. You don't believe your God, right? He's taking that portion of scripture out of context and also using it as this like test, right? Why was I saying that? I don't remember. It was just being like, so I had seen someone, it might've been in that video or one of those debates, that's saying like, well, your God calls you to be pure, but by your own admission, you don't believe that you can be pure. Therefore you cannot see God, this kind of idea. So what does it mean there when it's saying to be purified, for your hearts to be pure? And Perry and I were talking about it, and I just thought, she especially was like, hey, you should talk about this on the podcast, because it might be good for people that listen to be an encouragement. I'm like, what does it mean to be pure of heart? Right? If we all sin, then what does it mean to be pure of heart? Then we kind of came to the conclusion through conversation that it means, like it says there in James 4:8, right? If we are to make our hearts pure, and we're being called, and it's the person that's being spoken to is being called double-minded, then we should be single-minded, right? And I'm glad you brought up David, because I hadn't thought about that. Like the David example, I think does demonstrate this idea that like seeking after God. And something that I thought about when we were talking last week's episode about the guy, what's his name? Chad something, that was talking to Joe. Is it Chad Wright? Yeah, Chad Wright. He talks about how, and this is really cool. This is good evidence for it. We could bring the clip back up again if we wanted, but like we talked about how it's foolishness to those who are not seeking God.
Yeah.
Right. It's foolishness. But when he said, I'm going to open up my Bible, I need to at least know what I'm rejecting, right? He seeks God. Guess what happens, right? And in that Jeremiah 29:13, right? Is that the verse we looked at? Where he says, let me find it. We looked at this last week, right? Jeremiah 29:13. When you seek me in prayer and worship, you will find me. Also, other versions say, when you earnestly seek me, right? You will find me available to you if you seek me with all your heart and soul. So it's like, I think it's just this, I think being pure of heart as a believer, I think this could be misinterpreted as like the purity culture stuff. And I have heard that for sure. When I was growing up, I definitely heard this verse used to evidence the idea of sexual purity, right? But it's talking about being pure of heart. And I think it can be abused because, like, should we seek sexual purity? Yeah, 100%, of course. Like, we should seek to honor God with our bodies as he has called us to honor him with our bodies. But like here it's talking about pure of heart. And I think the idea is that buzzword people use, like that heart posture, right? Like, what is your heart focused on, your innermost being? Are you solely focused on God? Meaning when confronted with your sin, are you putting God before yourself and repenting? Or are you not? Like, to use the David example, right? Are you focused on God? Are you seeking him? So therefore his ways do not look like foolishness and he is being found available to you, right? Are you, like, if Jeremiah 29:13 says you seek him, you will find him, then duh, right? If being pure of heart means seeking God first over other idols, and Jeremiah 29:13 says you will seek him, you will find him, then when it says those who are pure of heart will see God, of course you will see him because you will find him available to you, right? I think that makes sense. Sorry, were you trying to say something?
I was just trying to find something and I did. So,
And I did.
So Paul and in Philippians 4, it's a heavily quoted thing. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is worthy of respect, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable. If something is excellent and praiseworthy, think about such things. And, but to go back a bit, like this is all, things that he's trying to teach these people to be in practice of. So then, my brothers and sisters, starting verse 1, dear friends, whom I long to see, my joy and crown, stand in the Lord in this way, my dear friends. I appeal to Euodia and to Syntyche to agree in the Lord. Yes, I also say to you, true companion, help them. They have struggled together in the gospel ministry along with me and Clement and my other workers, whose names are in the book of life. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Clap, clap. Let everyone
clap is not in there.
No, the clap, clap is not in there, but it's part of the song,
Again, I say rejoice. So good, dude.
Let everyone see your gentleness. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything. Instead, in every situation, through prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, tell your requests to God. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will rule your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is worthy of respect, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if something is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And what you learned and received and heard and saw in me, do these things, and the God of peace will be with you. So I think that a lot of it is changing to attain the purity that Christ is calling us to do, takes action on our part to rid ourselves of things of this world. And if we're thinking only about what is good and commendable, which is everything that has to do with Christ Jesus, then that will inspire and will have a deeper connection with God, being on the same level, having the same desires that he wants for us. And through that, I think that that's where that purity that Christ calls us to can be attained in this life, is by being perfect in all these ways, which obviously we can't do, but he can do. We can't do, but Christ through us.
Yeah. He will sanctify us, right?
He will sanctify us. And if we are earnestly trying to do these things, then the God of peace will be with you. And I think that that's where we can actually do things towards trying to be pure instead of just saying, just be pure. Well, how do we do that? Well, think about these things. It's a lot of it has to do with your heart. And if you're ingesting things that aren't of God and aren't good, then your heart will also not be towards that path.
Yeah. Controlling the things we can control, which is like our input, like what do we, what situations do we put ourselves in? What things do we seek out, right?
And how we're responding to when we're having struggles happen in our lives. If we're taking them to God, like first and foremost, just stressing that out about things, anxious about something, giving it to God and going to him with it first, and then doing whatever you have to do about that situation.
Because like, I think the crying out to God part, because like we may recognize too, there's things that, I need to cut that out of my life because I know this isn't good for me. I know it's not glorifying to God. Just cutting it out can also be hard. And I'm not saying we don't do the work of like trying, but also going to God and just crying out like, God, will you take this out of my life too? Like, I think when we're talking about the refining fire, like God will put us in that refining fire sometimes too. And we should seek that, honestly. Like Matt, I like how Matt says it often. He'll be like, God, break in me the things that need to be broken. Or speaking of someone else, break in them the things that need to be broken, right? So that they will seek you more. And like, so then perhaps our prayer could be, to quote a Psalm of David, since you brought up David, Psalm 51:10, create for me a pure heart, O God, right? Crying out to God, God, will you create in me a pure heart? Renew a resolute spirit within me, right? Resolute, right? Like seeking after him in the right things. So like, what does it mean to be Matthew 5:8, right? Blessed are those who are pure in heart and they will see God. God first, right? Ultimately, like, God first, right? And that means you will still make mistakes, but when confronted with them, God first. And your mistakes will mean those are times where you don't put God first, those mistakes, right? I mean, every sin is putting self before God, but then when confronted with them, God first. And then thinking about those things, right? Well, that's an example of God first, right? Like God says, to be thinking about what is good and righteous and holy and doing those things. Put him first.
Yeah.
It's simple, but difficult, but simple.
Yeah.
Like all of it comes back to pride versus humility at the end of the day, right? Like humble yourself and put God first. Righteousness, living in righteousness, right? Being sanctified. Or living in pride, which is putting yourself before God and rejecting him. It comes back to pride and humility, which makes sense because we have to humble ourselves and die to ourselves, right? Yeah, it's cool.
It is.
But I just think that word purity, especially from an English perspective, can be misconstrued. I think the word purity, our first thought is always sexual. Yeah. That sounds weird. But like our first thought is always brought to like the idea of sexual purity.
Yeah. I
think that word has just been like Kleenex and tissues,
I can't remember the entire story, but I know of one that Matt
Band-Aids and bandages.
Matt had went into detail about this this woman who she was like the most beautiful girl in this whole place, and then some prince came along and was like, "Hey, I'm going to marry you." And then she was like, "No, I'm being with Christ only. I'm not going to marry anyone in this life." Because I'm dedicating my entire life to Christ. And so she makes that vow and then it's like, I'm never going to marry. I'm going to live a celibate life for Christ. And then the guy's like, oh, no, you're going to have to. And then she says no. And then they take her, they strip her down, make her walk through the streets and in a brothel and just like have a lot of bad things happen to her. And then she comes back out and I believe that they put her to death.
Okay.
And, but that story has been shifted so much to being like, oh, no one actually saw her because angels came, or her hair had grown so much during that time so that it was actually covering her entirely. So she wasn't seen. And when she was in that brothel, she was never actually touched because an angel was there protecting her the entire time. And in her execution, she wasn't actually killed by the person that killed her. Like that guy, that everybody that tried to, they would die from the same wounds that they were trying to inflict. Like the sword was coming back on them. Whoa. It's a lot of strange things, but because they're trying to, in the discussion that we had about it, was that people are putting too much emphasis on sexual physical purity, where that's not, because she wasn't trying to do anything that was happening to her, but she remained pure spiritually in Christ.
Yeah, it's just evidence
even though
of like
all of these horrible things are happening to her, even though physically she's being brutalized in all of these ways. But you can remain pure even though things are happening.
Yeah, it's an example of like how the word pure has just been associated, not just modern, like in just modern sense, but for a long time. Yeah. The idea that purity is just associated with like remaining chaste.
Yeah.
Right. Untouched.
But there's a conversation to be had there, and
we're not saying that we're not like trying to desensitize the idea that like we should then, we're not trying to make light of the fact of like, oh yeah, just go sleep around or whatever. Absolutely
no,
not what
because
we're saying.
the entire reason that she remained pure is that things are happening to her. She wasn't seeking any of this out. Like that's the way that she was staying true to Christ.
Yeah.
And
it's a good example for that.
Purity is way more about the heart than what is happening to you. It's about what you are deciding to do internally. And so a lot of these things with, what's going on, if you can limit the things that are impacting you, and seek Christ and put your entire love and soul, mind, body, and strength into seeking after God,
right?
Then you can remain pure, even, whatever physically happens to you.
And it's important to remember too, that like it says in that Jeremiah verse, like he is available to you. Like, so if you haven't been doing that, like you haven't stayed, like you said, remaining pure, well, you're not too far gone to seek God and find him available to you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't want someone to hear what we're saying and be like, well, I haven't remained that way. I started trying and then I failed.
I mean, that was
the whole thing about
none
David.
of us started pure.
Yeah. And that was the whole thing we were talking about with David too, right? Like he still had all these examples, right? Of his family, ruining the lives of his family at points, right? And not being faithful to one wife but when confronted with those things, repented, right? Mm-hmm. And so when he sought God, he found God available, right, to him in relationship. So, I don't know. I think that was a good idea. Thanks, Perry, for that idea for us to talk about on the podcast. I think the word purity is kind of a loaded word, right? Like, what does it exactly mean? But here, right, it seems as though, like you were just saying, Jesus is much more interested in the purity of our hearts, right? Mm-hmm. And the devotion of our hearts. And so our prayer should be, I like that psalm, our prayer should be that God, through that refining, even if, right, the fire is what's necessary, breaking us the things that need to be broken, right? Create in us a pure heart, oh God, right? Renew a resolute spirit in us. Like, make our hearts pure, God, by whatever means necessary. Like that guy said in that video we watched last time. He's like, I pray that God will do whatever it takes. Like, it's going to be difficult, but I just want more of him. I just want that. It's all I think about. It's all that matters to me. Even if it's tough, God, do it. I don't think I'm that way as much as I should be. I remember a time, probably the best example in my life of where I really believed that and felt that way was when I was dating Perry, and I really love her. And I loved her then and was like, I want this to work. But I was like, I'm not going to mess this up like I did in the past, God. I do want you more. And I remember almost every time driving to her house to pick her up for a date or something, I would pray, God, if this isn't what you want, I don't care if it's difficult. I just want what you want. Like, I think this is great. I think this seems like the right way. This seems like the right direction. But you know what? I don't care if it's going to hurt. I don't care if it's difficult. I'm willing, like, put me to the fire because I want to end up in the right spot. If I'm distracting myself with what I think is a good option, a good way, like a good wife, but I'm wrong, then God, make it hurt if that's what it takes. Like, make it hurt if that's what it takes for me to go the right way. And I'm glad that he was the one steering me towards Perry as being my wife. But like, I don't know how often I really pray that as much as I did then. Like with each thing in life, like, I'm willing to say, like the hard stuff, the difficult stuff that hurts. Yeah, God does use that. But like, do I ask for it? Like, if that's what it means, like to be put to the fire sometime, to be refined, to have those impurities refined out of us like metal, like that's how we should be praying. When we say create in us a pure heart, oh God, we should be honest with ourselves and admitting what we're asking for, which is, God, even if it means putting me to the fire, I do want that. I do want that. Put me to the fire if it means I end up in the right direction. If it ends up that I am sanctified to be more like Christ, that's all I want. Like that guy was saying last week, I really appreciated that part of that. And I don't think we touched on that as much, but it tied into this. So maybe we should have talked about that this time. I don't know, but good stuff. Perfect timing. We should We should find out who was right, who was wrong, right?
Who was right and who was wrong? Chris is pumping his fists into the air. I hope they...
Don't celebrate early. You know what they say comes before the fall, Chris.
Pride.
Prideth cometh beforeth the falleth.
You know.
The cult. So you guys want a refresher on hearing them real quick? Like we always do? That way you can
so I can be more humiliated. Yeah.
So here's the side by side. The Breatharian Institute, founded by Wiley Brooks. This group claims humans can survive solely on light and air through special breathing techniques that support us as fifth dimensional beings. Members pay hundreds of dollars for workshops led by the Institute's first graduate, Brandon Day, teaching things like pranic nourishment and quantum divining. Over the years, several followers have been hospitalized for malnutrition and dehydration. In more recent developments, Brooks, their founder, was found to be eating regularly at McDonald's, claiming junk food helps him stay grounded for his earthly mission, since our bodies have now become desensitized to this 3D world as part of the fall. He's now incorporated a strict McDonald's-only diet, no food or water except for quarter pounders with cheese and Diet Coke, into the religious practices of the whole institute. So not just his, right? Everybody has to do, or it's recommended, or I don't know, whatever. It's part of the religious practice. Breatharians now await their coming 25,000-year reign as gods of the new world. So there's that one. That's the one that Chris thinks is real. That's the one that you think is fake.
Yeah.
The Triadian Covenant. Founded by Joseph Slotnick, Triadians follow the teachings and wisdom of the divine family, the Father, the Son, and the Mother. Little weird, kind of like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but they just changed the Spirit to a woman. According to Joseph, he was visited by 3 shining beings from below the Earth's surface on multiple occasions while living in Los Angeles. I mean, that place is a cult, so...
Got him.
He was warned by the Father to always stay above and never step underground, but to faithfully wait on the surface for the return of the Son, indicating the Mother's invitation to the new world below. The new world below will protect and spare them from a soon destruction of the surface world. Out of respect for the Father's command and his creation of the coming new world, followers are instructed to seal up their basements or reside in high-rise style apartments when possible. So just stay as far away from underground as possible. They gather throughout the year to study the character and recorded words of the Father, the Son, and the Mother for wisdom and insight into their daily lives as they faithfully await salvation, and of course for a fee, in reference to like the gatherings, right?
Yeah.
Similar trainings. The familial roles of the 3 divine family beings are as follows. The Father is credited to being creator and protector of this world and the new world to come. The Son was sent by the Father to travel the surface of earth in search of those worthy of sparing. And the Mother is said to be the human connection to the divine family. She's gracious and caring in her desire for the Father to spare us. Okay. So, Triadian Covenant, Levi thinks that one's real. Thinks that the Breatharian Institute is fake.
Yes.
And vice versa for Chris and Jarrett. Excuse me, Shibs and Jarrett. Well, I am very happy to announce that Jarrett and I both got another point, as well as Shibs, because Levi was wrong. The real cult is the Breatharian Institute. The hypothetical cult is the Triadian Covenant.
I really thought that you
sort of like picked things that I knew would entice Shibs with like terminology he would know, or
sure that, and I thought
tried to
that
sprinkle
you were
it into the next one,
outdoing
too.
yourself with, you know, the storyline and everything of the guy actually like going to quarter
McDonald's?
pounders. Yeah.
Oh no, dude, that guy's just crazy. So the Breatharian Institute, wild. There's so much more to it. Look it up. Like, they have a website. I feel a little bad because like these guys are alive right now. That one's going on now, and they've got like dude, it's literally like everything. I guarantee you, this Wiley Brooks guy just hears some loon talking about being a 5th dimensional being. Is like, yeah, that's true too. And then he's like, also. Breathing exercises bring you, because then they've got the music thing. You know how some people are like, music helps us in tune, like certain vibrations in tune with Earth, like that's in there. And so on their website, there's like, they call it like New World music or something like that, like music for the new Earth. We're going to put that up on our website soon. You can buy it. Like, and then, dude, there are 5, by their own admission, they're called the 5 magic words. And the 5 magic words, it says they recommend you
Please, thank you.
No. They're like Shana Katrana and QAnon and QAnon.
QAnon?
There's two that are like, one is an N and one is an R, but they're the same word. And it says to meditate those 5 words. Like when you first start, meditate those 5 words for at least 30 minutes a day, but as quickly as possible, get to 2 hours of meditation a day. Like the way it's all written on their website too is just so like, it's not how true things are written too. It's like just thoughts like leaking out onto a
The
page.
schizophrenic ramblings of a madman.
Unfortunately, yeah. And so what's interesting is this guy was like teaching these breathing exercise to make you more fully realize as a 5-dimensional being. If you do these breathing exercises and soak in light in these ways and meditate in these ways, you don't have to eat. He was talking about, because like we are 5th-dimensional beings, so we exist on more dimensions. When you eat, it's tying you to the 3rd dimension, right? And so he, like his whole doctrine, like do not eat or even drink water because it ties you to the 3rd dimension, the physical plane, and because Earth, well, that comes up later. So he's like, don't do that. He gets caught eating at McDonald's regularly. And people are like, dude, what the heck? Not just anything, junk food. Like McDonald's, Diet Coke. And he's like, well, interestingly enough, in the last 25,000 year reign of humans or whatever, we fell. And the part of the fall involved humans getting too enamored with our favorite vacation planet, because we're on planets everywhere, but this is Earth is the most beautiful planet. It's the most beautiful of the 3D, 3-dimensional planets.
I mean, God created it.
Right. And he's like, so because it was so beautiful, this was our vacation spot, and we get distracted by the enticing 3D food. And he's like, so because we're spending so much time here because of the fall, I'm trying to make sure that my fallen body it's getting tempted. So I'm going to actually instead just eat. The only thing now that you can eat is McDonald's because of some, mumbo jumbo. But then
because he put his stock in, all that money that he was making, all the stock just went directly into McDonald's.
Also, just on their website is a picture of a cicada with golden arches on it that look like the McDonald's golden arches. And I think I didn't see any substantiation. I didn't see any substantiation for that other than it says like the holy golden arches cicada or something like that. I honestly think like the logic there, because I didn't see an explanation, was like this holy cicada has the golden arches on it. So McDonald's must be what we can eat. Like, and then
he found the only thing to allow him to be able to have his comfort food.
There must be something else about cicada, maybe the rhythms or something. But like then the picture of Brandon Day, his first student to graduate the institute that now does all the workshops, the picture of Brandon Day is him with a cicada on his face. And it's like Brandon with one of the holy cicadas or something. I feel bad. I'm making fun of these guys.
When I first heard it, it was sounded to me like he was like, I got so much work. I was about to ascend, to the next plane, but I still got work to do. So I got to eat some McDonald's and ground myself here for a little bit longer.
Basically, yeah, that's the idea. Is like, it is kind of like that. Like he's got work to do here. And since he needs something to keep him grounded, since humanity loves this place and he's got work to do as some sort of prophet. Yeah. I don't know, man. If he was listening, he'd probably be like, that's not at all it. But I'm trying to make sense of the, like, it's all over the place. There's so many little things that you see present in other, like the new age stuff with like, I almost said Horcruxes. That's from Harry Potter. What is it? It's the
phylacteries.
No, the things in the stars. What are they? Being born under this moon or whatever. What are those called?
Horoscopes?
Horoscopes, not Horcruxes. The horoscopes, like there's like some of those people that are like, dude, I can hear the sounds of the universe. Like some of that was on there. Like it just seemed like whatever helps to keep people convinced that this guy knows what he's talking about. He's like that too.
Yeah.
What if I told you the fake one though also has some shreds of reality?
So it wasn't all wrong.
It was inspired by a movie called Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser.
Are you serious?
Yes. In the movie Blast from the Past, there is... So you got double fooled. Boom. In that movie.
Never saw the movie.
I never watched it either, so...
Oh, it's good.
I only know about a couple of the clips from it.
We rewatched it the night before I made this thing. That's where I got the idea. And it's pretty good. In that movie, I tried to create the cult. I tried to create the cult from the movie. Because in the movie, the dad in the bunker, right? The plot of the movie is 1960, whatever. This guy, super worried about the Cold War. He has the most state-of-the-art bunker under his house. A plane crashes on their house just as they are hearing about some bad news. So he's like, just to be safe, he's going underground with his wife who's pregnant. Then a plane crashed on their house and he thinks that's the bomb.
Yeah.
So then everybody else thinks they're dead. So nobody looks for them, right? 35 years later, their time clock seal on their vault opens so they can go to the surface. So first the father goes to the surface and he's got this bright flashlight, and this guy is like in this dingy bar, right? And he's like, dude, who are you? Like an alien? And the guy's like, don't touch my elevator. And so he never goes underground. So I was trying to make a cult out of, because this guy later throughout the movie, you see him multiple times, and all of a sudden he's got people that are like worshiping at the place. Like, please, Father, send us a sign. And then Brendan Fraser's character comes out and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the son. And they're like, of course, the son, like as if they're pulling from whatever experience of Christianity they have. And he leaves and they're like, send us another sign. Make the son return, Father. And then they're like, please, we're in despair. The destruction of the world is coming. Send us a sign. And Brendan Fraser, who's been looking for the vault again to try and get home, pops in and is like, hey, guys. And they're like, the son is returned. He's like, I hope you're doing well. Just wanted to say hi. And then he leaves again. And they're like, And then at one point, the mom comes up and he's like, and she's got like a drink in her hand or whatever. And he's like, who are you? She's like, the mother. And he's like, of course, the Holy Mother. And so the idea was like, I'm going to try and make this something substantial. So it had nuggets of, and so the founder's name, I just found the name of the actor that played that guy. His name is Joey Plotnick, and changed it to Joseph Plotnick. Do you know the actor's name, Joey Plotnick? I was afraid that maybe you would.
I thought you said Slotnick.
I heard
Slotnick. Yeah, Slotnick.
Yeah.
Joey Slotnick is the real guy.
No, it did sound familiar, but I mean,
he's in a bunch of stuff, but like a real like.
When you've played a lot of Fallout, you've heard a lot of names. So
yeah, So there you go. Don't worry. There was like nuggets of truth to it. That's why it was so convincing. The best lies have nuggets of fake truth. Plots from a movie.
I thought it was fake because I thought you took inspiration from something different. Because in Islam, if you read the Quran, you understand that Muhammad confused what he thought the Trinity was. He thought the Trinity was Father, Son, and Mary.
Yep.
So that's why I was like, oh, he pulled it from Islam, so this is fake.
I also was like, oh, this will sound close enough to that, right? Like the Holy Spirit being feminine, right? The mother, and then her being our human connection came from Mary. Originally, I wrote it as like the mother, the human connection for us to the divine family, known as the flawed one in the divine family who needs protection by the father or something. But I changed it because it sounded too weird. Like each of them had like a holy, like the other two had like a job, and then hers was just to be taken care of. And I was like, that'll make them think it's fake. So I gave her as like the gracious one that convinced the father to spare us. There you go. Too long breaking down our cults and stuff. I'll take my flowers. I only got one point, I think, from you. Bummer. But I'm going into the finale episode now with 1 point for Cult or Hypothetical. 1 point. At least I'm not ending the season with 0. Because finally I was doing what I was made to do.
I think Jerry should make all the rest of them from now on.
Oh, it's more work. But that's fine. And then I have a fighting chance.
Yeah, that's technically true. You know,
I have a fighting chance. Like I can get points.
Yeah.
I'm trash at guessing. I'm so bad at guessing these things. But dude, it's a lot of work. It's fun. But it's fun. I used ChatGPT to help me figure out a name for it. The Triadian Covenant. And it gave me a bunch of garbage that I reworked into the actual name. But yeah. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The point of it was to discuss the idea of purity. This one's been a little all over the place, but we as believers, our prayer should be, God, make a pure heart in us. And it doesn't matter what fire we need to endure to do it. We should be willing and want that if it means we are more conformed to the image of Christ. Pray that with us. Let's pray Psalm 51:10 together. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
Gotcha! Finally!
That's a good one.